Welcome to the NNN show, which is a bit of a weekly opinion thing about life and thoughts and things like that. And it has been a difficult couple weeks since the Nintendo Switch has been launched. And seeing a lot of criticisms and people jumping the gun and stuff like that. And I had a little thought about, running a Nintendo channel. And I think a lot of people think it's sort of easy running one, but it's not. It's quite difficult. It's quite hard. And Nintendo Ninja News has done over 600 videos in getting close to 2 years. And it's almost run like a daily sort of news bulletins and things like that. And sometimes you'll get some news, and sometimes it comes in a huge flood, such as the Switch presentation and E3 and events like that. And sometimes it dries up like Christmas time and the beginning of January, where there wasn't a lot to talk about. So I thought I would talk about some of the highs and lows in that. We'll start off with the highs. And I think some of the great benefits of doing this is that you meet a lot of people, you get to chat to all different people around the world, and some of my own benefits is putting together videos and ideas and things like that, and seeing how they go, and some videos do well and some don't. And I think that's the funny thing about running sort of a news channel in a way like that. And we've been quite blessed, I think, to do really well in the nearly 2 years of 110,000 views and people watching us and seeing our content. And I've done a lot better than I expected. I also enjoy going to conventions and meeting new people and being seen as the media, which is, it's a strange concept because I don't really see myself as a journalist, maybe like a YouTube host, I guess. In terms of just delivering the news and things like that, we try to put our spin on things. We talk about different topics and things like that, and it's fun. It's fun to do that sort of stuff. And they're a lot of the positives of running a Nintendo channel. I'm sure that there's more than I can think of, but I don't want to sort of get bogged down in all the positivity and all that sort of thing. I think some of the downsides is when people see you hosting a YouTube channel about Nintendo, they obviously think you're a massive fanboy and you can't be balanced and objective and things like that. And they see the background and they go, "Oh my god, this guy's a massive fanboy, and he's going to be very biased in what he thinks about Nintendo as a company." And part of the job is try to keep it balanced. And we have been very critical of the Wii U. We've been critical of Nintendo's stubbornness to move into the 21st century. And we've had issues with Nintendo on a range of things from time to time. And we've talked about them. And even when the Nintendo Switch came out, I was unhappy about the launch lineup and the very pricey accessories. And I guess for that, I think a lot of the technology was needed, but they could have cut down prices on the USB-C. They could have done a cheap handheld again and an underpowered home console to make things cheaper. They could have done all sorts of things, but they've gone with the decision of what they call a home console that connects to the handheld. And the reason why they won't call it a handheld that really docks to a TV is they don't want to be seen to be out of the home console market. But they also need to justify in Australia the $470 price tag or the $299 price tag in America, because then people will look at it and go, "Wow, that's like nearly twice the price for a handheld console." So there's a couple of the main reasons why they promoted as a home console. Some of the other negativity things is you get negative comments. I've nearly gotten a death threat once, but just really negative stuff like, oh, videos are terrible, you're just a Nintendo fanboy and things like that. And it's hard to sort of try to defend Nintendo when they do legitimately are doing good. There's just so much negativity, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of video game journalism, is that it still feels very unprofessional in terms of most of these people don't have a degree in journalism. Most people just start up a blog or website and a YouTube channel or something like that, and they pin the job title of journalist and off they go. And some of them are good at what they do. Maybe they could have gone to university and gotten a degree and actual been taught how to do journalism. But a lot of them don't. And a lot of them are very negative. If you take a snapshot of all the different YouTubers and websites and articles about the video game industry now, you would think it's a pretty awful place. Games not doing well, companies doing stuff, Nintendo's suffering, microtransactions is seeping into all games. Sony and Microsoft are upgrading their consoles now every 3 years instead of 5 or 6 years. It doesn't seem like a very rosy picture of what the video game industry is. And I think it's because negativity sells. You look at all the different YouTubers and they know that negativity or review that gets a couple points lower and people are outraged. And I don't believe in really looking at reviews for games. I think word of mouth and your friends are probably the best judges to see if you like a game or not. And I still like going into a game store and just picking out a game and just seeing what it's like without any reviews or previews or anything like that. And some of the downsides of Nintendo Ninja is also trying to run the show by yourself. It's really, really hard. And we've struggled to get guests on the show. We have struggled to build up a large subscription base on YouTube. Only 330 is not a lot compared to other places where they've got thousands or tens of thousands. We have a sort of static Facebook page and Twitter profile because we don't have the time to do things and that's why we have the Facebook group, which is going to be a lot more interactive and things like that. So that's why I created that sort of fan group for people to interact and give me ideas and things like that. But even that struggles too. And it's really hard to promote Nintendo Ninja News. We still have not been able to find good artists after 18 months. And we don't have a budget. Everything behind me is all paid from my own pockets. And it makes it very difficult. It makes it so difficult. And I don't think people understand that. And, I'm looking at the Switch, which is $470. Breath of the Wild is $100. And then the Pro Control is another $100, and that's $700 to just get things going. And then I would like to review accessories because that does well on the channel, and that's at least going to be another $200, $300. So that's $1,000, and we're not a Patreon, we're not a YouTube channel that does really well and gets money from there. But they also happen to have a Patreon account, which is sort of double dipping in a way. Donations for games and things like that, and some people earn from $1,000 to $10,000, $15,000 per month, and it's just like, how many video games are you going to buy with that? And I can understand that, if it's 10k or something, you don't need that much to live off each month. And I think even with video games and things like that, it's just, it's very, very hard when you're a small YouTuber trying to get off your feet. And, there are times where I feel burnt out doing doing this, and you sort of sit there and go, oh geez, I wonder if I just gave it away, just stopped doing videos and just went back to actually playing games and enjoying them and not worrying about the news all the time, because I'm always looking at websites, looking at different people's opinions and thoughts and that, and trying to gather the news and things like that. So I'm not someone who sits on Facebook and waits to be digested news. You have to go out and find the news, and I get PR stuff from Nintendo Australia and things like that, so that helps. But even when things don't go our way and we're not invited to the Switch presentation and things like that, it really does hurt us a lot, because, for example, that event would have been great for us. Video content was able to be recorded. And we're a YouTube channel, and we weren't invited. And I can understand that there are probably other YouTubers and article websites that are bigger than us and been around for far, far longer. But, when you're small and you're sort of starting off and you're trying to get your foot in the door, just losing those opportunities are really difficult. But when things don't go right there, you have great opportunities like the E3 Expo and the GammaCon, which is not quite video games, but there is some video game content there. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff that can be talked about, and it's almost like I wouldn't call Nintendo Engineers a 24-hour job, but it is definitely an on-call job, in terms of if something breaking news happens or something happens, I have to come in here and think about on the spot what exactly I need to say in a minute, and get that recorded the first time or the second time if I fuck up the intro, and then you try to upload it and get the news out as quick as you can, and try to promote it to your social accounts, which they don't really work half the time, and then you just cross your fingers and hope that someone finds us and enjoys the news and that. And so there's a lot of downsides too, and hardships, I would say. And to be running this for 2 years has been great, and also doing my writing on the side helps too. And it is harder than what it looks, especially on E3, because I've got notes jotted up, and 8 or 10 videos to be done in a row, and making sure that they're all nice and short for people to find them, and it just gets to the point. It's not me fluffing around like I'm doing on this video. So the Nintendo Engineer show is when I can go on for 10-15 minutes and talk about this sort of stuff that I would like to talk about. And yeah, and I think the hard thing about doing sort of Nintendo side is that Nintendo themselves gets a lot of shit, and some of it's warranted and some of it is jumping the gun or jumping the shark in terms of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's not easy, and I would like other people to come onto the show and help out and do things and that, but sometimes it's about finding the right people, or finding people who actually will have the time and commitment to it. And it's a difficult thing. So I think that's all I've got to say on the matter. And it is only 40 days, I think, until the Nintendo Switch comes out. So it's not that long. It's not that long now. And yes, it is 40 days. And for me, it's going to be a really exciting time, and I think that's going to be a very high point in Nintendo fans' life. I think people won't realize how good this console is until it's in their hands, and they're thinking, I can play this portable and on my home console. I've rearranged once again my back there, because I had all the Nintendo consoles there, and I thought, I'm probably not going to be recording from many of them, maybe except the Switch, because it will have the virtual console content. So I can move the Switch from here to the main room, and I'll get a bigger TV, like a 40-inch TV in there. But then again, that's part of the budget too, and that's going to cost me about 400 to do that. And there's no Nintendo News slush fund or anything. We had the Stir grant, which was $1,000, and that was spent on promoting things on Facebook and getting microphones and all that set up, and our first capture card, which we need a 60 frames per second one, which could be another couple hundred. So it gives you an idea about all the different challenges that are happening, and how difficult this may be in terms of trying to get this right. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be interesting to see what will happen. So I'm hoping that that people are a little more objective with Nintendo, not so doom and gloom. I gave the Wii U and the PS Vita 2 years to see how they would perform, and let's give the Switch 2 years. And I've got a good feeling that the Switch could be very close to the Wii U sales numbers in 2 years, or might be even more, because you're getting all of Nintendo's games on it, all of them, and more. So it's going to be a fun time. So the highs and lows of running a Nintendo YouTube channel: don't do it because it's crazy, it's insane, and you'll lose your mind. So that's it from me, and I shall see you later on.